Hello, grade 1 students. Welcome to Maths with Mysteries. So for today, we're going to continue learning about multiplication. In today's video, we will learn how to multiply by 0 and 1. So let's start with the multiplication table of 0. For multiplication table of 0, we have what we call the 0 pattern. 0 pattern states that 0 times any number is 0. It means that any number, no matter how big it is, if it's multiplied by 0, the answer is always 0. I'm going to give you some examples. Please repeat after me. 0 times 1 equals 0. 0 times 5 equals 0. 0 times 9 equals 0. 0 times 3 equals 0. 0 times 7 equals 0. If you are going to take a look at on each multiplication number sentence, any number multiplied by 0, the answer is always 0. So I'm going to challenge you this time, and let's see if you're able to understand the 0 pattern. Okay, are you ready? Okay. Now let's move to question number 1. What is 0 times 5? If your answer is 0, it means you are correct. How about 0 times 2? Yes, the answer is 0. What is 0 times 8? If your answer is 0, you are correct. So that is all about the multiplication table of 0. Always remember the 0 pattern, which is a number or any number multiplied by 0. No matter how big it is, the answer is always 0. Okay? So let's move on to multiplication table of 1. For multiplication table of 1, we also have what we call the ones pattern. Ones pattern states that 1 times any number is the same number. For you to understand this multiplication table, I'm gonna relate it into what we learned before, which is all about multiplication as describing an array. So let's go to multiplication table of 1. So I've got here an apple. So we've seen here that if it's actually arranged in an array, in a column and in a row, we've got here a row of an apple. So one row of one column is what? Excellent. It's 1. So let's go to the next picture. So we've got here an array of strawberries. So how many rows do we have in this picture? So we've got 2 rows of how many columns? You are right, we have 1 column. So therefore, 2 times 1 is equal to how many strawberries? Perfect. The answer is 2. Now let's move on to the next picture. Oh, this time we've got here an array of balls. So as you can see, how many rows of balls do we have here? Excellent. Excellent. There are 3 rows of 1 column. So therefore, 3 times 1 is equal to how many all in all? Excellent. The answer is 3. Now let's move on to the next picture. We've got here an array of circles. In this figure, we have here 4 rows of 1 column. So when we say 4 rows of 1 column, we say 4 times 1. So what is 4 times 1 then? Excellent. So 4 times 1 is equal to 4. How about in this picture? We've got here an array of yummy donuts. Okay, so how many rows of donuts do we have here? Yes, excellent. We've got 5 rows. And how many columns are there all in all? We only have 1 column. So if we're going to write the multiplication number sentence of this array, we say 5 times 1 is equal to how many? Excellent. The answer is 1. Now let's go to the next picture. Wow, this time we've got an array of hearts. Okay, so how many rows and columns of hearts do we have here? So, okay, so if we're going to write the multiplication number sentence, it's 6 times 1. So what is 6 times 1 then? 6 times 1 is equal to 6. Excellent. Now let's move on to the next picture. We've got here an array of counters. So let's count how many rows do we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 rows of 1 column. So what is 7 times 1 then? Okay, excellent. 7 times 1 is 7. So let's move on to the next picture. This time we've got here an array of cookies. They look yummy. Now let's count. How many rows of cookies do we have? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we've got 8 rows of 1 column. So what is 8 times 1 then? So 8 times 1 is equal to 8. Perfect. Now let's move on to the next picture. Oh, this time we've got here a picture or an array of leaves. So let's count how many rows of leaves do we have this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excellent. There are 9 rows all in all. And how many columns do we have? We only have 1 column of leaves. So therefore, we have 9 rows of 1. So what is 9 times 1? Very good. So 9 times 1 is equal to 9. And here we also have here an array of cars. So let's count how many rows and columns of cars do we have. So let's count the rows first. Everybody say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got here 10 rows of how many columns? Very good. We only have 1 column here. So here we've got 10 rows of 1 column. So what is 10 times 1 then? Very good. So 10 times 1 is equal to 10. Okay. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you and see if you can still remember the ones pattern, which tells us that a number or any number that is multiplied by 1, the answer is the same number. So I'm going to show you here the multiplication table of 1 wheel. And I want you to pause this video and answer the question. So we're going to do the first question for you. We've got here 1 times 1. What is 1 times 1? So 1 times 1 is 1. So please, this time, I want you to please get a piece of paper and answer the questions. Okay, so let's check if your answers are all correct. Let's move to the next question. What is 1 times 7? 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 10 is 10. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 5 is 5. And 1 times 9 is 9. Who among you has got the correct answer? So I hope that you're able to understand multiplication's table of 0 and 1. So at this moment, I ask you to please practice the multiplication tables of 0 and 1. Memorize these tables for mastery. And then for your tasks 2, kindly refer to Google Classroom. And don't forget to turn them in once you're done. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!